we're now joined by the man who owned that Metro as well. It's Chris Deere. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing good, indeed. Good. Yourself?
Very, very well. And Chris, I must thank you actually for sort of helping us arrange with Tiff as well. So big, big thank you to you for that. But of course, you have a very strong relationship with that exact car, don't you?
What, this car here?
That's the one.
There you go. Look at that. Look at that. Picked off the wall
magic.
of my office just to show you. Just to say, look, that was my baby.
So when did you buy it? Did you buy it like straight after that, or?
I bought it in, I'm going to say 97 or the start of 98 probably. So I remember watching the programme on TV, and it was two people got me into motorsport. One was Tiff Needell and one was James Hunt. And I couldn't give you James Hunt's mobile number because I didn't have it. But sorry, Tiff, for passing on your number for this. My bad. There we go. So I'd been reading I think it must be 98. I was reading the autobiography of James Hunt, and he started in minis back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was then working, I was an 18-year-old working away, working my fingers to the bones, starting your career. And I was watching Top Gear and the Metros came up, and my brain went, minis, Metros. He was a world champion. Hey, we could do that as well. So got onto the phone to the club, and they, I think it was a phone, no internet back then, no websites. And said, I've seen this. I spoke to Steve Hall and Dave. Oh, his name escapes me. The guys who were running it at the time. And they said, yeah, the car's available. And we bought it from the club and ran it for probably 4 or 5 years in total. I think maybe even more. But it just clicked that, you could. I didn't know until I saw that video, you could do motorsport just as fun, as clubs.
Oh, that Tiff Needell video, that was the one that did it for you. Wow, fantastic.
Yep.
Fantastic stuff. So what became of it then, Chris? What did you do? You obviously ran it for a few years, got the close association with the Metros. What happened then?
So we got the car and we turned up at the first event and no testing. First time I'd been at a racetrack was when I turned up at Brands Hatch with the car, and I drove it from the trailer, which we built ourselves. We turned up at the paddock, we dropped the car for trailer, we hadn't put the legs down, and everybody turned around and went, who are these clowns? Like, hi, nice to meet you. Drove it to the scrutineering bay and thought, well, that's my test drive done. And out to qualify, and sat there going, what the heck are we doing? But there's a lot of friendliness in the club. It always was, there always is now. And the Metros at the time were like, oh, Chris, plug your seatbelt and do this, follow us, off you go. And it was chucking it down with rain. And I went out there not knowing what the heck I was doing, having never been to a racetrack other than to do my ARDS course at Thruxton beforehand. We took out on track, and I think everyone else had a disaster because I stuck the thing on class pole. And I was like, this is easy. I am going to be the next James Hunt, I'm going to be the superstar.
Well, you can be Steve Soper, Tim Harvey, both started in Metros. There you go.
Chris Deere, absolutely. This is it. And then qualifying was all good. And then we got to the race, and everyone else went boom, past me. And I was like, oh, okay, then. This is a little bit harder than we thought it was going to be.
So the Formula One dream died right there.
Yeah, basically gave up. Just going to have fun.
So obviously, eventually you passed the car on.
Yeah.
Do you know what became of it? I've asked Tiff this very question, so everybody watching this knows what became of it. Do you know what's become of it?
Oh, well, yes, because I sold it. Hang on, I'm just going through trying to find some pictures because I sold it to someone. Who was it? Oh, here he is. I went up in the loft and got all my pictures out, mate. We love the Metros, can't not. So I sold it to, I think it was Rich Davis. So that was Rich.
Oh, look at that.
Hadwell Park or Mallory. No, that's Mallory, isn't it? That's got to be Mallory out the old hairpin. So yeah. I sold it to him after 4 or 5 years. So we went up to Croft with it, and I lost the championship because the car broke down on the warm-up lap of the race.
Oh no!
And I was like, sod it. And I sold the car. And he lived in Sheffield, and we dropped it off to him on the way home. We sold everything. I came home, and my mum went, "Oh, how did you get on?" I went, "Oh, we came second. Where's the car?" Sold it. I quit. Given up. So sold it to Rich.
Wow.
And then 2 days later, bought myself another Metro. And did the K series instead.
Yes.
Because you can't do Metro racing. Still have this car. So, well, Triggers Brew, we still have a car.
Chris, what is it about the Metro? Because it's we've played some cracking adverts of Murray Walker, Eric Idle, and Nigel Mansell during this show here today, and there's just something about it, isn't it? Quintessentially British. It's just you see a Metro these days, and you just can't help but smile, can you?
Yeah, you think, how's it not rusted away? And then you think, cool, it's a nice car. What was it about the Metro? I did my driving test in the Metro. You know, when you're a certain age, I'm 40 now, and back then it was a Metro, which all the learner cars were Metros, and you saw them around. But the MGs were just a little bit more specials, more chuckable. You know, when you've got the Clio Cup cars with their sequential gearboxes and all of that, and all the stuff on the top. Yeah. Back in the day, the Metros were that sort of car, but you could afford to run them without needing $100,000 budget. You know, we had £100 budget. You know, it was.
You have to drive a Metro, don't you? Like you said, I learned to drive it at Vauxhall Corsa, and it's fairly bog standard, probably the easiest car in the world to drive. You know, pass my test in it. But I often think with a Metro, if you want to drive, you know, you want to go for a Sunday, and you could get a top of the range BMW or whatever, and just go for a drive around country roads. It's almost like you're just piloting a spaceship. I can just imagine taking a Metro out, like up in Yorkshire, going over the Yorkshire Dales in a Metro, and you've got to drive it. You know, it's a proper driver's experience.
Especially the older MG ones, because they had the gearbox underneath the engine like the Minis did, of course, and you had to drive them. You couldn't just turn the key. You had to look at the gauges. You had to just put it into gear. You can't just slam it into gear. The K series guys who race in the Metro Cup now, they don't know how lucky they were. You know, if we missed a shift back in the day, your gearbox would go boom, and you go, there we go. That's it, end of race. But you have to be precise.
Chris, here it is today.
Yes. I saw that on Facebook the other day.
Rich Wardle is going to be racing potentially in a bit of hill climb. It might even be making an appearance out. And I just showed that to Tiff as well. He said, it's still not around, is it? Absolutely it is. Yes, it's not going anywhere. That is now a classic car. That's probably worth a fortune now, that car, by the way. Rich, if you're watching this, don't let it go.
Well, no, if you do let it go, Rich, sell it to me. Because in between, I was offered to buy it about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years ago. And I wanted it, but I didn't have any need for it. And, you know, when you're just like, it's my first race car, shall I get it? So, yeah, Rich, I'm friends with him now on Facebook. So, yeah, if you do sell it,
great.
You know I am, bud.
There you go. Fantastic. Chris, thanks so much for your Metro memories as well. Thank you again for helping us organise Tiff coming onto the show and your great stories as well.
Been a great thing to watch. It's been awesome.
Fantastic. Thank you.